I should probably just change the name of my YouTube channel to 3 Weeks Late Movie Reviews. John Wick Chapter 4 stars Keanu Reeves as John Wick, the retired assassin who was pulled back into the business all the way back in 2014 when some gangsters stole his car and killed his pet beagle. John Wick 2 ended up with Mr. Wick on the run for his life after killing the wrong guy in the wrong place. And in John Wick Chapter 4, he is still on the run, but now he is being hunted down by the Marquise de Frenchman, played by Bill Skarsgård, who you may remember from the movie It. Anyway, there's an old rule in the Assassin's Rule book that says, "Give them a chance to defend themselves." That's a Space Jam reference, but in all seriousness, John Wick can challenge the Marquise de Frenchman, who sits at the table, to a duel, and if he wins, he can win his freedom. I had a lot of fun in John Wick Chapter 4. The cinematography, set design, lighting, and costumes are just beautiful to look at. I think Bill Skarsgård's suits must have been half the production budget. The battle in the Osaka Continental Hotel is one of the coolest action scenes I have seen in a long time. Just like the previous John Wick movies, we have lots of cool action scenes in crazy clubs lit with flickering neon lights. I love it because the set design just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to put an archery range inside a private Japanese art museum at the top of a hotel lit only by glowing neon lights, lining every corner of the architecture, but they did it anyway because it looks awesome, and I totally support that. I love how dramatic this secret world of assassins is. There's a scene where someone says, "You have 1 hour." And instead of just saying the phrase, "you have 1 hour," he also has to reach into his bag and pull out this huge ornate golden hourglass and drop it on the table, and then we see a bunch of shots of the what do you call that, the sand inside the hourglass slowly dropping down and like getting closer to the end. What makes the action scenes so effective in this and the other John Wick movies is they know how to build up the tension before the action begins. It's not enough to have a cool fight scene. You need to have the build up there. You need to create the mood. The fight scene in the Osaka Continental Hotel is a masterclass of suspense and intimidation, which builds up to the big showdown. It was so epic, I was actually kind of tearing up because of how perfectly executed it was. It's also funny how they just embrace so many racial and national stereotypes. They go to Osaka, Japan, and Hiroyuki Sanada, the Japanese actor who's in every single movie that requires a Japanese actor. Anyway, he runs the place, and he and his friends are all wearing their fancy Japanese kimono-looking robes, and the hotel security guards use bows and arrows and have stashes of katana blades hidden around the hotel, and they use those instead of guns. And the bad guys are wearing body armor, like the SWAT uniform body armor, but then they also have those like kabuki demon masks with the smiles on them, like, because it's Japan. Like, that's what they do in Japan, right? Or we go to Russia, and the band of assassins there operate out of a Russian Orthodox cathedral guarded by a shotgun-wielding priest, and the bad guys have gold teeth and face tattoos, play cards, and drink vodka because that's just what Russians do. A highlight of the film for me was definitely Donnie Yen playing Kane, the blind assassin. I'm kind of a recent Donnie Yen fan. By the way, if you haven't seen Ip Man, you need to see that movie right now. And not only was he just a cool looking dude in his sharp black suit and big dark shades, and his action choreography was a lot of fun, but he also provided the movie most of its humor. I love how casual he is about everything. Like, this guy just does not care. There will be an epic battle scene in the kitchen and guys are getting blown away, and then we just see Donnie Yen sitting in the shadows eating a bowl of noodles and then acting like it's a big inconvenience when he has to finally put down his meal and go to work. I'm really glad Donnie Yen got a lot of screen time because I was thinking that maybe they would just hire him for a couple of scenes so that they could appeal to the Chinese or Southeast Asian audience. But he actually played a huge role in the film. I had a conversation with a Chinese friend a while back who was saying that a lot of Chinese actors are refusing to play minor roles in Hollywood movies now because it's kind of insulting, and China has their own thriving film industry nowadays. I didn't really care about the story in this one. I saw Ben Shapiro do a review for this, and he spent a lot of time complaining about why nothing makes sense in the film. For me, a movie can overcome its limitations if it maxes out its other qualities. John Wick's character doesn't go through any development. He's just a force of nature, and we don't learn anything new about him, but everything else was so entertaining that I can overlook any narrative issues. This isn't a perfect movie. A lot of action scenes just go on for way too long. John Wick also takes a lot of heavy hits that would have left him permanently crippled about 100 times over. There's a kind of unintentionally hilarious scene when he gets kicked down a flight of stairs, and it felt like the scene in Hot Rod or Surf Ninjas where the character just falls down forever and just gets progressively worse. I'm also kind of tired of the bulletproof suits. I think it kind of cheapens the action when all these guys in double-breasted suits can just hold up their arms and block dozens of bullets. Keanu Reeves' dialogue felt especially unnatural in this one, almost like he's confused about what he's saying, and I know people have teased Keanu Reeves for a long time for the way that he talks, but it is especially jarring in this one. I'm gonna need a gun. I don't sit at the table. If you don't mind, I'm gonna discuss a brief spoiler in 4, 3, 2, 1. There is no way that John Wick is dead. Donnie Yen and Keanu Reeves duel each other at the end, and Keanu Reeves gets shot in the stomach. Now, that might be fatal in real life, but in the movie world, that is a wound where you just kind of stick your hand in there and walk around like nothing happened. I especially don't believe that he's dead, since 2 other people in the movie get the exact same gunshot wound, and they are totally fine the next day. John Wick's death scene is him sitting on some stairs watching the sunrise, and then he passes out and falls over. And then the next scene, we see his headstone. No way. Unless I see a body in a casket, I am not buying it. I also swear I read that they were filming John Wick 4 and 5 back to back, so did they really do that, or did they just scrap those plans and just decide to make one long Chapter 4? Also, the fact that it's called John Wick Chapter 4 and not John Wick The End of the Road tells me he's going to be back. So yes, if you like the other John Wick movies, I would highly recommend this one. The length of it makes me think that it doesn't have as much rewatch value as the other movies, but still a great time.